Hey everybody, Seth Campbell here with the new Segue Says podcast. Now I know what you're thinking, but as they used to say in the old days of early television, do not adjust your set. You are watching the right podcast. Different location. I'm back at home, but I have the keyboard, so rather than use the piano, I'm going to use the keyboard because it's more in tune. And the haircut, which is what it is, not what I was going for, but I'm stuck with it now. So, in any case, things may look different all across the board here, but I can do my best to bring you the same quality of segues as we continue. Now this one, oh boy, this is a good one. These are two of my favorite songs to play just plain on their own, but together they're really something to be reckoned with. The two songs are The Stranger by Billy Joel, which I mentioned briefly last week, and That's All by Genesis, which you may or may not know by name, but you definitely heard it, and we'll get back to that one shortly. Now, The Stranger, the reason I brought it up last week is because it's a bit like digging in the dirt in terms of a song that not only lyrically, but musically illustrates what it's talking about. It's a song about our own secret personalities, who we are when no one else is looking, our wild side, our shy side. Everyone has some piece of themselves that they don't show to other people, and when this part of ourselves comes to light, it's certainly a shocking experience. So what the song does, and it's particularly in this case about the stranger within ourselves being in Billy Joel's case, what he's talking about is sort of a wild, romantic lounge lizard type of guy. But the song starts and ends in the normal state of existence, as this calm, beautiful piano piece. I can't whistle. So that's the beginning and the end, but in the middle of this is the awakening of the stranger and the wild romancer, and that's the main part of the song, which goes a little something like this. Hide away forever, and we take them out and show ourselves when everyone has gone. Some are satin, some are steel, some are silk and some are leather. They're the faces of a stranger, but we love to try them on. Etc. It's a really energetic, fast-paced song, and then at the very end, it's fading out on the last. You may drown in good intentions, but you'll never quench the fire. You give in to your desire when the stranger comes along. And it keeps doing this, and this gradually fades out. The stranger recedes and the normal everyday surface comes back to light. And so that's The Stranger. And we'll come back to that as far as the segue goes. Now, That's All, I'm sure you know, is one of the greatest grooves. It was by the band Genesis, who, of course, was originally Peter Gabriel was the front man when they did all the crazy, cerebral 20-minute art rock. And then they moved on to sort of a prog rock period when Peter Gabriel left and Phil Collins became the main vocalist. And after the prog rock period, they had a more pop rock with a touch of prog rock. This is from that third era. It's from their first album of that era, which oddly enough was just called Genesis, even though it was their 12th album. And it was the biggest, their biggest radio hit at the time in the U.S. And I'm sure you know it. It goes a bit like this. And just as I thought it was going alright, I found out I'm wrong when I thought I was right. It's always the same, it's just a shame, that's all. I could say day, you'd say night. Tell me it's black when I know that it's white. It's always the same, it's just a shame, that's all. I could leave but I won't go, though my heart might tell me so. I can't feel a thing from my head down to my toes. So why does it always seem to be me looking at you, you looking at me? It's always the same, it's just a shame, that's all. And of course it has the really famous bridge where it breaks down to, but I love you more than I wanted to. There's no point in trying to pretend. There's been no one who makes me feel like you do. Say we'll be together till the end. I'm sure you get it already, but I just love playing that song, so I keep going. I love to close with that at the piano bar shows, to really go out on a powerhouse note. So, as you can probably hear by now, the grooves are pretty similar, both in the very sort of tough-sounding E minor. They both use the flat 6 of the C, which is helpful. You know, versus so they both are working within the same realm, which is invoking a chord out of the diatonic range for my musical friends. But essentially, they're working along the same lines and at roughly the same tempo. But the trouble is the riffs don't fit together incredibly neatly. You know. Because that goes right to the end of the phrase. Da 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 da. Whereas the Genesis riff, the That's All, starts before the one beat. So it's and so it starts before the one, so you can't really line these up. So what you have to do for this is invoke the what I like to call the 1 to 2 bar pause, which I believe we've used before way back in the Maybe You'll Be There / Child Is Born segue, the first jazzy one I did way back. But the essence of this is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. Is you hold on a chord for an extra bar, let the beat run out, and then start up again. So here's what that is going to sound like. This is at the end of The Stranger, when you've done the last verse and all the choruses and everything. It ends with a verse, which is a little strange, but you will never quench the fire, you'll give in to your desire when a stranger comes along. You can do this however many times you want. you go. Now, one thing I've noticed that kind of makes these two riffs similar is that they're both in fourths and thirds. So this is the Billy Joe one. That's all fourths, and then that's thirds. But the fourths are probably the most dominant part of it. And then you have the Genesis one, which is... all thirds, or excuse me, all fourths, and then, you know, you got the second one. You got a third there, a fifth there, but it's all working within these intervals and centered around the fourths. So it gives the two grooves a similar feel, which allows the songs to blend a little more easily. Now, what you can also do, and this is just sort of the sound nerd in me, is you can take advantage of that. If you're working on a keyboard like I am here, you can take advantage of the fact that there's this pause to switch keyboard sounds to something that sounds a lot like the original Genesis keyboard part that Tony Banks plays. And so that'd be, you know, 1, 2, 3. That's just me. And then, of course, I'm going to switch back to the piano because it'll be an easier transition on the way out. Of course, one of the central pieces of The Stranger is that it ends the same way it begins, with that really quiet and beautiful, calm, surface-level piano ballad. And so you do this transition, you wouldn't want to deprive it of that. And so, you know, you could have the last bit of Genesis, the Genesis tunes. I could say day, you'd say night. Tell me it's black when I know that it's white. It's always the same, it's just a shame. That's all, that's all. And as always, you can do this however many times you like. Pretty much the exact same way you'd fade out the Stranger riff, you can fade the That's All riff. Just back into this. Never mind, that's something else. For friends of mine who are fans of The Brew, you'll recognize that as the intro to Castle Walls. Just a fun little tack on there. But the main point of this is The Stranger, and that's all. So, that's all. Hopefully you've enjoyed it, and I will see you again next week.